What's good? Let's talk 2021 and the fights that must happen. Now, a lot of these are fights that the fans want and that should be happening in 2021. And the only reason that won't happen is boxing politics. And some of these fights are fights that I personally want to see, and maybe a couple of these fights are fights that only I want to see, and I acknowledge that. But hopefully, 2021 is a better year than 2020. Even though 2020 we got some big fights, man. Starting with Fury Wilder 2, that was the biggest fight of the year. I'll probably say that. We got Lomachenko versus Delfimo, man. I'm so glad that we got to watch that fight, man. Even with no fans, even in quarantine and all this, we got to see Delfimo Lopez versus Lomachenko, man. Both of these guys stepped up. They said, "I want this fight." And it happened, man. We still got to see Monster. We got to see Chocolatito fight twice. The last time he did that was in, I want to say, I can't even say it was years ago. The last time he fought twice. So he fought twice in this hectic year. So we got to see Gallo Cuadras. We got to see some damn good fights. Cepeda Baranchak and Gervonta Leo was an okay fight. Charlo versus Derenchenko was a good fight. What else? Spence versus Garcia. I'm glad we got to see him return, and it sets up the fight that I want to see most getting into this video. Terence Crawford versus Spence. That fight has to happen, guys. There is no reason why this fight shouldn't have happened already. I mean, besides, the car accident, but that fight should have happened before the car accident. It should have happened before November of last year. Early 2019 would have been the perfect time to make that fight. They should have probably fought a rematch already. Maybe it would have been controversial, but it would have been a good fight already. It should have happened. There's no reason why these guys shouldn't fight next year, and there's no reason why, if you're a boxing fan, you don't want this fight to happen. That you're cheering for one guy and you don't want the other guy to get the fight. Oh, he doesn't deserve the payday. Oh, I'm the A side. Terence Crawford saying that the car crash knocked some screws loose into Spence. That's messed up, man. And frankly, that's just an excuse. Why not 60-40? Take the fight. Take the fight, guys. I'm not here counting fighters' pockets. I don't care how much they make. The pay-per-view numbers, maybe that's the problem. I don't care about that. I want to see good fights. At good fights, make money. I'm gonna pay at least $70, at least, because that fight's gonna be for sure pay-per-view, and it should be. And I don't know if it makes $1 million, but by waiting, elongating the process, the fight's not gonna sell more. One of these guys isn't gonna become a superstar overnight. I know Spence is chasing Canelo, but unless Spence fights Canelo and he says he wants to fight him at 60, and there's no reason for Canelo to fight him at 160. So neither of these guys is getting any younger. Both of these guys are in their 30s. They're not getting any more popular. We already know who they are. We already know how they fight. So this is the time. This is the time to make that fight. No, there's no excuse. There's no excuse now. Besides that fight, which unfortunately I really don't see happening, I'd love to see Terence Crawford versus Pacquiao. Terrence Crawford deserves a big fight, man. He deserves a big payday, and he deserves to put. The fans deserve for him to put his ego aside and maybe submit a little to Spence's demands, man. If he's asking for this, if you really want the fight, the way these guys talk, it's like if they don't want this fight at all. They don't want it to happen at all, and that's a shame. That's a shame, man, because they should both be saying that they want the fight, and it should have happened. Should have happened already. The welterweight is a diva division where big fights don't happen at all or until it's too late. We already know. We already know who. Thanks a lot. A guy from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and a little Filipino guy. That happened years ago already. So I'm done with the welterweight division. This is the superflight division is really where it's at. These guys aren't ducking each other. We already got Chocolatito versus Gallo Estrada 2 signed up. So that's the division, guys. That's the best division in boxing. That doesn't disappoint. These guys give great fights and they don't duck each other. So. And it's already happening. A fight there that I'd like to see is maybe a Sorongosai versus Cuadras rematch. That would be good. Give Cuadras another payday and keep Sorongosai in the picture. Maybe it could happen on that card. Hopefully, that'd be awesome. What would that be? Superfly 5, 4? I mean, the HBO wouldn't be in charge anymore, so it wouldn't even be under that label, but. Let's talk about the big guys now. We all know Fury versus Joshua. That's the fight. That's the fight that needs to happen. Undisputed. We need more undisputed champions. Boxing is so confusing, and part of that is it's so hard to explain to a casual. All the weight classes and all the champions in the weight classes. There's 4 organizations and multiple champions in each organization in every weight. How are you gonna bring a casual fans into the sport when it's so hard to follow? Oh, this guy's a champion in the same weight, in the same organization as that guy. At lightweight, there's like 3 WBC champions. Come on. We need more undisputed champions. This fight is for boxing fans. As is Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. Another undisputed champion. If we get 2 undisputed champions in boxing for next year in heavyweight and at 140, man, that would be great. We get 2 more undisputed champions. We got one with Teofimo Lopez. We had one a couple years ago, Terrence Crawford and Usyk. That's good for boxing, man. It helps the sport. Let's do it. 2 unification, 2 undisputed championship fights for next year. Whew. That's like a pipe dream, man. I don't see that happening, but we'll see. There's a lot of hurdles more in the heavyweight division. I think we'll see Ramirez versus Taylor. That's a hell of a fight. That fight might even be better than Chocolatito versus Estrada. So, man, if these fights happen, next year's gonna be a great year already. So, Ramirez Taylor, Joshua Fury. Let's talk about the light heavyweights. We got Joe Smith. He fought twice last year. He's already got a fight lined up for February of next year as a title fight for the WBL title. The working man's champion is Joe Smith. Fight Saturday, goes back to work construction on Monday. How could you not like that guy? And a disservice I've done in my channel is that I haven't talked about how big of a fan I am of Joe Smith. And I hope to continue talking about Joe Smith more in the future, and I want to see him win this belt. I think he will because he's fighting. It's for a vacant belt, for Canelo's vacant belt that he won against Kovalev. So this is kind of a gimme fight. So hopefully, I mean, he's the type of guy that takes every fight seriously. So I don't see him easing up on this fight, especially for a title. So if he was in February, I'd love to see him against a Beterbiev or against Kovalev if he gets past his opponent. I think he's fighting in January 31st. So he's fighting a young but very tough opponent, one of those tough Russian types. I think he only has like 7 fights. So it's a tough fight, but it might be a winnable fight because of his experience. Might be an Anthony Yarde situation. Hopefully, if Kovalev gets past that and Joe Smith gets past his title shot, we could get those guys in. If not, a Beterbiev fight, man. I just hesitate to say Beterbiev because Beterbiev is a destroyer, man, and I do not want to see Joe Smith get hurt. He would be the underdog, but he's not going to back down from anyone. So he would give Beterbiev a hell of a fight, and that fight would be a shootout, man, because neither guy's going down. Both of them have great chins. Both of them have power, but one of the guys is just from the eye test is a lot higher, has a lot more power, might be even tougher. This guy's a Soviet, so he might be tougher than the American working man. But I'll be rooting for Joe Smith. Hopefully he gets a big fight next year. Middleweight, let's see Triple G. They're talking about Triple G versus Munguia, and I would love to see that fight. I love that fight. I know a couple years ago they wanted to do that, and I said that fight would be criminal. And Munguia has gotten a lot of experience since then. He's just fought Toriano Johnson in a tough fight. Spike O'Sullivan, the Hogan fight. So he's won a couple tough decisions and got more experience. I'm not gonna say he's like a seasoned pro because Munguia, I think Munguia is what he is. He's not gonna wow you with his boxing ability. He's not gonna be a twinkle toes in the ring. He is what he is. Hopefully he could work on his defense a little bit. But I think if Triple G is ready to be taken out, Munguia will take him out. If not, Triple G, fight Charlo or fight Andrade. I do not want to see you fight Zermetas of the world. Not again, man. Maybe even give Derevchenko the rematch. But those fights, you gotta be done with those fights, man. I am quickly losing interest in his career, especially if he's gonna be fighting Zermetas or the Rolls of the world. How do those guys become mandatory anyway? But you know, middleweight division's good. These guys just gotta stop waiting, and I'm not the only one that's been saying this. These guys gotta stop waiting and fight each other. You give yourself a bigger case for Canelo by fighting each other. And I think I'll finish with Canelo. This video's gone long enough. I like to see Canelo versus David Lemieux. Like I said at the beginning, I'm the only person maybe in this whole planet besides David Lemieux that would want to see that fight. Of course, there are bigger fights. Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, he's looking to unify that. Uridium, that his mandatory, he's probably going to fight him. Looks like he might fight him in February. Hopefully we can get him in the ring as soon as possible, but I want to see him fight David Lemieux. I think that's a Kirkland-esque fight, and I love me those shootouts. I think Canelo would just stand in the pocket and maybe score a spectacular knockout, but that fight would be non-stop if Canelo chooses to fight like he did against Kirkland. And Canelo could, because he stood in and fought against Triple G. So that would make an even bigger statement if he stands in the pocket when Triple G didn't. So I want to see Canelo versus Lemieux more than any other fight. Besides that, Canelo Benavides fight would be insane as well. The volume in that fight, I want to see how Canelo handles that volume, how he handles his size, because he is a huge 168 pounder. I want to see how he handles his power, how maybe he just stays inside, but Benavides can fight inside too, so that would be a great fight. Those two, if he fights those two fights, man, I know none of them for the title, but Canelo has a lot of options, man. I see him fighting probably Billy Joe, and I don't mind him fighting Billy Joe. If he's gonna fight a boxer, I prefer to fight Caleb Plant. I think that's the better fight because I think Caleb Plant is the better boxer. I think he's the more serious fighter. He takes his career more serious than Billy Joe, and he's more consistent than Billy Joe is. So for Canelo, there are plenty of options, but please, please leave David Lemieux in your consideration, please. Real quick, I'll talk about a couple of UFC fights. At 170, I'd love to see Kobe versus Masvidal. The press conferences would be amazing, and I think that fight would be pretty solid too. I want to see Wonder Boy get a title shot. I know he wants to fight Masvidal too, but I just want to see Wonder Boy fight some more. Let's see. I think the 170 is the best division for me. These guys seem to have a round robin at 155. I hope that they don't give the belt to Conor McGregor for fighting Poirier. I think they should finish that round robin to see who's the champion. So, what fights do you guys want to see that I didn't mention, or who wins the fights that I mentioned? So, thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully these fights get made, and see you guys. Peace.